Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do some more maintenance to your mini bikes and go-karts. In this video, this one's specifically related to making sure everything is tight and getting into a habit of doing that. So the tools you're going to need is a socket set, an adjustable wrench, spark plug socket, and a torque wrench. And I'm using these because this is specific to my application. You don't need to do these things every time you ride, but it's good to do it every once in a while and to make sure everything's tight and torqued to where it needs to be. So for the rear axle on these bikes, typically from what I read, they're between the 35 and 40 foot-pounds. Okay, that didn't even move at all. The axle nut size in these bikes are 19mm, but I have a different nut in mine, so mine happens to be a 22mm. So now we're going to torque this front nut, but this time we're going to be using a 19mm. Did move. Alright. Okay, so make sure your crank bolt's tight. So grab the recoil on it and tighten it up. A lot of the times you can't use a torque wrench and pull the rope on it because it's extremely hard. So once you get locked up with recoil, smack it a couple times with your hands and it should be tight enough. Now grab your adjustable wrench and do the same thing to the driven. Grab your brake handle and tighten it up. Make sure it's tight. Do not use a impact wrench on this nut in the jack shaft, or you're going to destroy the bearings and this torque converter unit. So another thing you're going to need to check is every once in a while headers will vibrate the nuts off the studs, so check them occasionally. They're typically 13mm and they're tightened to 17 foot-pounds. So as you've seen there, both of those nuts on the studs did in fact move. Spark plugs should be torqued to 17 foot-pounds as well. Okay, the spark plug did not move at all, so that's good. Alright. Occasionally on my motors I've had the side cover bolts come loose too, so these are typically 10, 12, or 13mm bolts. In my case they're 10, and I cannot get all of them because the torque converter is on it. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to tighten these two to 17 foot-pounds as well. Okay, we need an extension. And neither one of those moved. As I'm sure you've already started to notice, a lot of things on motors are tightened to 17 foot-pounds. Check your oil plugs too. There's also one on the back of the motor, but I have a battery in the way, so I cannot access that. Sometimes the valve cover bolts will also rattle loose and cause it to leak oil. I would use about maybe 4 to 6 or 7 foot-pounds, but I would use a shorter inch-pound wrench instead of using foot-pounds. Alright, all those are good. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and checking to make sure everything's tight. These torque specs can vary from bike to bike and motor to motor. I'm just using kind of a middle ground that I see that a lot of these smaller engines use. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.